Hello there, it's August the 1st. We are in Oxfordshire, heading to Buckinghamshire in England to go and see the legendary Mr. A for some fly fishing. That's right, Tom Torero is going fishing. First time in my life, it's a long story. All will be revealed. Where are we going, Mr. A?
So we're going down to the Abwell Estates. This is a very aristocratic part of the country. We're actually in the borders of Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire.
Right on the border.
And I'm a hoi polloi posh hoity-toity lawyer. I'm a member of the Lawyers Fishing Club. And the riff-raff wouldn't be allowed in these sorts of areas.
I blend in lovely here.
You do not blend in.
A Welshman in a van.
A Welshman in a van in Ibiza shorts.
Alright, lovely.
We don't do drugs here, you know.
Alright, is this a place for fishing?
Didn't you get stopped by an old lady this morning in your van whilst you were up at something nefarious?
I did. I was in a very posh village, a bit like this, and she knocked on the window and she said, oh, hello, good morning. Are you here sorting out the telephone wires?
When actually you were engaged in theft of the internet connection.
I was stealing Wi-Fi from a pub.
Join me, Thomas Torero, as I take fly fishing lessons from Mr. A. See if you can work out the parallels between this fine sport for gentlemen and the art and craft of daygame pickup.
Yeah, various stages of fly fishing. The first stage is to know where to fish. So you want some local knowledge, you find a nice lake or a river. The second stage of fly fishing is fly selection. So fly selection is very important. There are two types of flies. There's a dry fly, and that's the fly that sits on the surface of the water. And then there is a wet fly, and that is a fly that you actually let it sink, and you don't just let it sit there, but you draw it in, twitching the line as you go to imitate like a nymph, which is obviously before a fly becomes a fly, and that actually sits in the water. With the dry fly, you're just kind of looking attractive on the surface of the water, and a fish hopefully will find you. With the wet fly, you are actually casting out a lot, and you are moving your position every sort of 5-10 minutes because you're looking for the fish. Fly fishing is actually really skillful. When I first learned it, I had this big training session with an experienced fly fisherman on a field before we got anywhere near the river. And the technique is kind of quite a high level of skill, in which, a bit like golf, for example, where you have to strike the ball with a certain momentum, with a certain snap of the wrist and a certain technique. Essentially what you're learning to do is approach the fly, present the fly in as natural a way as possible. And also, of course, you've actually got to get the fly, near the fish. And so therefore you also don't just need a lot of distance to cast your line out, but you also need good aim, and you need to be on target. That describes the first sort of phase of fishing, if you like. You're prepped up, you've selected your fly, wet and dry fly fishing, depending upon the situation, circumstances. You've got a lot of practice behind you from past fishing trips, so you know how to cast out to the fish. Then, of course, comes the moment when you actually hook a fish. And you might think that, you know, hooking a fish is the be all and end all. Once you've got it, bingo.
He's got one. We have hook point. Okay. Yeah, I have.
After you've hooked the fish, you've got to strike the fish. You can't. It's not enough just to sort of stand there and think, oh, I've got the fish on the hook. Great, where's the net? Let's just haul it in. You have to go through a process of playing the fish.
Okay.
Is he ready? He might not. You see, that's
Boy.
the thing. He will fight. And that, depending upon the size of the fish, could be 3 minutes, could be a minute, it could be half an hour. With a big fish, it could take you half an hour to play it, because you do not want to try and force things. The worst thing you can do when you're fishing when you've hooked a fish is to force it into the riverbank too quickly. You have got to play the game, basically. That's it, hold the net right down. You hold the rod up.
Congratulations, Mr. A. Congratulations.
We actually caught a bloody fish. I don't believe it. Oh my word. There he is. The hook has actually come out already.
Oh, good.
It's a nice little, I don't know, £2 rainbow trout.
Congratulations, Mr. A.
Say hello to
Let
the
me
camera. What's, I guess, interesting about fly fishing is it can be an incredibly time-consuming pursuit in which you have these highs and lows. So, I mean, again, we went fishing yesterday. We arrived full of hope and expectation, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we immediately started fishing, and we immediately saw fish, and we actually hooked a couple of fish quite quickly, and that was obviously quite exciting. And we thought, right, this is it, we're in. The next 3 hours was just spent, you know, tirelessly working the lake, trying different flies, sun sort of burning down on the back of our necks, not actually making progress, starting to think that the fish seemed to disappear. We went to a different stretch of water, couldn't see any fish, and you know, it just after a long afternoon in the sun, it wasn't so much physically exhausting, it was just absolutely sort of emotionally draining, because we'd got so close to catching a fish, and now it seemed as if it become an impossible task. I suppose it's best summed up by that famous David Thoreau quote, which is basically, many men go fishing their whole lives without realising that it's not fish that they're after. And there's something about the process of fly fishing that is very seductive. Perhaps that's the key thing, that men want a goal and an objective of catching a fish. And without it, life would be meaningless. With the objective, in this instance to catch a fish, they can then enjoy the process of the whole thing.